$1 million is what they think is basically a product market fit. Like you said, of course, you don't have a good product. Do you have a repeatable business model? Do you have a distribution where you're getting repeat customers? Is what I would define as product market fit.
You said good product.
As I'm saying, that I want to emphasize the fact that when you're doing PMF, nobody's looking for a great product.
What does that mean?
A good product means something which can basically solve for a pain point.
Second is about making money.
Before making money, Ramesh, because you could make money, right? The most important thing is that paying money is important, but you need repeatable customer. The key word is, are you getting repeatable customers?
Okay.
Right?
In your past life or whenever can you just cite an example of what you built and you said, no, it's not working, let's trash it?
See, initially when I started building the CRM, we were thinking we will basically do amazing predictive lead scoring algorithm, and we thought that would be the face of the product. Morning, Ramesh.
Good morning, Sri. How are you?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
How was weekend?
Weekend was good.
Yeah.
Was laid back, watching Chennai win the match.
Okay. For a
disappointed.
change.
Yeah, disappointed to see Dhoni getting out on the first ball. But, I think Dharmashala is probably the most beautiful cricket stadium in the world, I guess.
It is. I wish we could go there and watch a game live very soon, hopefully. I mean, how was the summer vacations going? Do you have any plans of holidaying?
I mean, maybe hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
My son, my elder one, is basically is on Leh trekking. So we're waiting for him to come back. It's getting harder with kids growing up. Finding the time for all of them together is hard. So hopefully the next 2 weeks, we'll find some time.
Yeah. I wish with such heat, I could really go mountaineering, right? And
he's sending some photos. It's very tempting.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think Leh is a great place to be.
Yes.
And having spoken about mountaineering, and this was my thought over the weekend.
Okay.
Getting to this product market fit is like mountaineering, right? Because it's like this super steep hill that you have to climb. The base camp may seem simple, and then you have to grind your way. You're against gravity, and you really have to pull your way. You don't know if you have the strength to do it or not. That's what was running in my mind, as with a nice vacation in the background as well. With that, I think, do you agree with that?
I think it's an interesting thing. It's a good one, Ramesh, But I would say getting to product market fit, for founders, it's more like surfing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in a beach mode.
Yeah, I'll tell you why, right? So you got to catch the right wave, with your product, right? Balance perfectly. Ride it all the way to the shore. And
I know what? He's just playing the Chennai game with the seashore at his back.
But I'll tell you, you'll miss the wave. If you miss the wave, you have to paddle back and go back to try again, right? So, I think if you ask me, I think for a founder, finding product market fit is like surfing. You have to keep doing it again and again.
You guys get it. This is an episode all about surfing and mountaineering. And with that, welcome to yet another episode of Reset to Zero. This is Srivatsan and myself, Ramesh, trying to do the show for you. So with that, let's get started on today's topic of surfing versus mountaineering. Rather, talk about PMF.
Yes, I think it's a very interesting topic. Let's just break down, Ramesh, product market fit, right? I'm sure in your mind you think that, hey, having a great product is all you need to do a product market fit.
Actually, I'm thinking a step ahead from what conventional wisdom always talks about, okay? Have a reasonably good product, but get to that $1 million mark that defines a product market fit. I've always been told that, hey, you hit $1 million, you have a product market fit. And that is what has been running in my head of how do we climb this Mount Everest tree. Don't you agree?
I think that's the conventional, I would say, wisdom, what people talk about, because $1 million is what they think is basically a product market fit.
Absolutely.
I would disagree. Okay. Yeah, I would disagree. Like I said, it's like surfing, right? You need to kind of learn to do it again and again. Only then you can call yourself a surfer, right? Just because you just got lucky and you did one long, ride, doesn't mean you're a surfer, right? Just to get a parallel here. Like you said, of course, you have a good product, right? Number one. Of course, making money is important, but do you have a repeatable business model? right? Do you have a distribution where you're getting repeat customers is what I would define as product market fit.
You spoke about three important things. You spoke about having a good product. You spoke about making money that is being important.
Yeah.
And you spoke about having a repeatable business model. And you spoke about distribution. You spoke about four things. Can we just dive in a little deeper to understand
Correct.
what each of these means? Because a good product is always a product that is dear to the product manager when you're establishing product market fit. There's no one who says my product is bad.
Correct.
But how do you define what a good product is? And we'll go through them in each of these. Let's take a few examples.
Yeah, let's talk about good product. I'll give a good example, Ramesh. But before that, you're also saying good product. You're not saying great product.
You said good product.
As I'm saying, that I want to emphasize the fact that when you're doing PMF, nobody's looking for a great product. People are looking for a good product.
What does that mean?
A good product means something which can basically solve for a pain point. Period. Right?
It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't technologically
have to be
advanced.
sexy. I don't know what sexy means. It doesn't, the a lot of times when product managers and founders lose, their track and then just go about only getting a great product. The good to great factors come into their mind and they start, building a sculpture. It's not like you're building a sculpture here, right? We've spoken about the craftsmanship.
Correct.
Craftsmanship is something which you can get good quality things at a reasonable time frame.
Correct.
Right? What you'll end up is building a good product.
Okay.
Of course, you cannot basically have a buggy product which does not work the happy day scenario, right? A good way to basically look at a good product is a one which will handle all the happy day scenario very well.
Give an example of a happy day scenario in a product. Let's take High Performer in itself. What is, in your mind, what's a happy day scenario?
And a happy day scenario is basically to help, let's say, a social media manager or a founder or basically an executive comms person be able to consistently post for 30 days.
Okay. So use the product without any bugs.
Correct.
Just even if the feature set is small, you make it happy for the user.
Happy
to
day
solve
scenario.
a
Happy day
basic
scenario.
problem itself.
Happy day scenario, repeatable use case should work.
Okay, repeatable.
Unlike you look at a competitor who has done a very deep roles and permission custom roles for in your team for a 2000 employee company.
Yeah.
Is not what as a product manager I want to build right now. I've got to build it for, let's say, 100 people company, 500 employee company, less than, let's say, 1000 employee, 2000 employee company, happy day scenario.
So there you go. So all product managers out there, when you're starting building a product, you've just heard it from Srivatsan saying, a good product is the one that solves a grunt problem. It could be as simple as that, but the key to that is it's got to solve the problem multiple times, a repeated problem solving that needs to be done without bugs, without corrective. And you don't have to solve it for a 5,000 member team. You can do it just for an individual or maybe just a few in a larger organization. That's what you're saying.
Correct. All right. It goes with another factor. Understand or have a laser sharp focus on your ICP, right? You cannot build a product for everybody in the world.
But isn't that the cat and story, the chicken and the egg story?
Correct. But you don't take that trade-off and figure out who is your target persona to start with.
Okay.
So you can expand it later, start with, right? We should listen to them, get their customer feedback, right? That is very, very important. Right?
Okay.
And then you have to tweak the product for that.
All right. We'll get to that. I think you're moving to the third point. The first is have a good product. I think we solved for that. You answered the questions there.
Correct.
The second is, yes, you said we got to make money.
You got to make money. I just want to add one point on the good product. A good product is something only you can get when you know who is your target audience very clear. That comes with a good product.
Okay.
A good product is for a specific target audience. It's not for everybody in the world. Be very clear about it to start with. Build a good product, keeping in a target audience, which is laser sharp.
Okay.
I'll tell you just a minute on that, why it's important to have a target audience. Only then you know to whom you should listen and to whom you should ignore on the initial days. Otherwise, everybody is going to give you feedback.
Oh, of course.
And you should have a filter mechanism. It's a natural way to filter out things which are not important right now. And you'll focus on building a good product.
Got it. That's so a good product also means you cater to the right audience. Otherwise, you're going to get feedback, which is of course a gift, but it's going to keep haunting you. So instead of building the product,
right,
you're going to use it.
Right.
That's on the good product.
Right.
The second is about making money.
Correct.
So if you haven't figured out whom you're selling to, your ideal customer profile, ICP.
ICP, yes.
How do you make money, Sri? Because if you're saying 1 million is not the magic number to have defined PMF, then what does making money mean? If it's not $1 million, what is it?
Now, even before making money, Ramesh, because you could make money, right? There might be a product which would have basically sold through your friends and family network to 5 people.
Well,
And
that's not.
I'm just saying, and like one of that prospect would have paying you like, let's say 100K, 200K, and you get $2 million. But the most important thing is that paying money is important, but you need repeatable customer. The key word is, are you getting repeatable customers?
Okay.
Right? Having the same sales play or the sales motion where the founders, or you might have your first salesperson, are they doing the same demo, or is the customer coming inbound using the product, same onboarding done for everybody? Do you see repeatable payments happening on your product?
Okay.
Right? I would say that's the more important factor for a PMF. Of course, revenue is important, right? Nobody has to say no to revenue is coming in.
Of course.
Right? But the most important thing doesn't mean you will have PMF.
Okay.
If your goal is to get PMF as soon as possible, you can forget the dollar value which you're getting. Instead, focus on how do you get a repeatable customers. And it comes to experiment. See, there is no
one trick pony to get that.
To figure out what. So how do you do multiple experiments? I can give an example, right? The immediate example which comes to my mind is Klaviyo, right? The Klaviyo founders, about 10 years old company, right? When they started off, right? They basically were doing, kind of a customer audience segmentation. In fact, they've been in a helping large...
Or marketing automation.
Not even marketing automation. They were helping large B2C companies.
Right.
And they were helping these large companies by writing some programs and, projects to help them segregate their customers. As simple as, hey, who are my high net value customers? Who are customers, repeat customers? And they were basically helping large B2C brands, very large ones. That's when they realized, hey, this could be an opportunity when such a large B2C brand doesn't have customer data to know the customers who are actually paying them more versus the customers who are paying them less versus the people who are coming repeated. They thought, hey, let's make that audience segmentation of the product. And that's how Klaviyo started.
Okay.
But when they started giving to the initial customers, they also wanted to say, hey, now that you have my customer audience segmented well, can you help me send emails? Then they started building emails automation, right? Very similar to MailChimp, and all these companies were very popular. There were already hundreds of companies, right, doing the same use case.
So was the first part scaling, or because you're talking about scalability, repeatable?
None of them were scaling.
All right.
Right? They have still figured out a success. Even though they're making money, right? First 3 years, they didn't even raise money, right? They were still making whatever money required to run the show.
All right.
But that is still not product market fit. But one fine day, right?
Would you know how much ballpark the revenue was when they were not?
I think I would guess it would be sub $1 million, but they were almost 3 years into the journey, right?
Okay.
That's when, one of his friends, one of the founders' friend, who basically was having a Shopify store, he said, hey, what, can I basically use the product? Looks like interesting, can I try? And then he started using it, and then he started getting more customers. He said, it is much easier for me to use your product. And that's when they doubled down and then built the Shopify integration, right? The moment they did that, and it just happened so that Shopify was also penetrating fast in in the e-commerce space, they found repeatable customers.
Wow.
The 1 became 10, the 10 became 100. Exactly same use case from the first one to the 10th and the 100th and the 1000.
That's a great story, right? I think you were talking about. It's just not those 1 or 2 customers that you get and you're solving for them.
Correct.
How repeated? I on an interesting note, Sri, the other example I've also heard from one of the founders of High Level, Varun Vairavan, right? And he said he was building these products for an agency, right? He was building it for customers.
Exactly.
And for some really small mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
And he was never being able to sell it, right? A few of them would come, they would buy, they would churn, and so on.
Okay.
And then while he was about to shut his business, he just said there was a time when he had to go and pitch to a few agencies, and they saw the use case so well, and they started buying the software, selling it to their customers became their affiliates, and then the whole motion started going, right? So I get the important point that you're looking at saying is find more. Your ICP is important, of course.
Correct.
In let's say in High Level's case, it's the agencies. In the case of Klaviyo, it is the Shopify owners, and then sending mails to them. But what's even more important is that propelling the business on itself that becomes scalable, right? It could be both at an enterprise level or in a mid-market kind of company level. So that is the repeatable sales model, repeatable usage that you're saying, right?
Correct.
But how do you link that to revenue, right?
Yeah, it's when you do this, right? When you kind of look at this, where example of again Klaviyo, right? Is a perfect example of how, even though they were a marketing email automation software, right? They specifically focused on e-commerce business, correct? They basically, which actually really enhanced their customers' ability to make more business.
Okay.
Right. So what it means is that these two examples, what you mentioned, right, both Klaviyo and the high level, are an amazing example of how you should align your product perfectly with the market demands. Now, once that happens, correct, but it's a the market changes, so must the product, right? The one which picks up early is going to get the the product market fit. If you see an example of Klaviyo picked it up even though it was early on. There were a lot more other vendors available in the market, multiple the incumbents, so including the MailChimp of the world. But that's a dance.
Can I ask you a question? Right? Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
You've been a product manager always. What is that one coat of ego that we need to remove, the quality when you have to accept what the market reality is and build for that? Because great product managers come with their own hats of thinking.
Correct.
Right? So what is that one quality that is needed to say, I'm going to let go of this? But how do you realize that?
So I think one important thing, this is basically be my learning over a period of last 20 years. You cannot be sticky about your product. You cannot be sentimental about what you're building as a product.
Okay.
If you don't see a market demand, period.
Or repeatable sales.
Market demand. If it doesn't align to market demand, right? And if there's no market demand for what you're building, you should just have to shut it down, move to the next one.
In your past life or whenever can you just cite an example of what you built and you said, it's not working, let's trash it?
Multiple times.
Can you give us one
Ramesh,
example?
the one good example I would say is that, hey, the last time when we were building CRM, right? See, initially when I started building the CRM, we were thinking we will basically do amazing predictive lead scoring algorithm, and we thought that would be the face of the product, right? We tried hard doing the demos. People would say, wow, this is how you should help, prioritize our leads. We would say that, hey, we will help you kind of surface your leads. And we were so passionate about it. By the way, I also have a pattern for lead scoring, right? For the predictive lead scoring. But that doesn't really fit into the market demand. The market we were catering, about 3 months into the product selling, right? The product market fit was not happening because somebody is looking for a lead scoring feature. They were looking for a simple contract management software and an automating of a sales pipeline management.
That's a great example of how a product manager aligns himself or herself to the realities of the market. I can remember to think of another example within High Performer itself, and I was part of this journey of building products, right? When we started, we had a lot of emphasis on analytics.
Of course.
And we said analytics is going to be the game changer. We started building some beautiful sets of graphics, the whole way we were looking at analytics.
Correct.
And we're trying to sell it. Exactly what happened is all the calls, people were like, wow, this is not something that we get. But
elsewhere.
When it came to usage, no one watches analytics on an hourly basis.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the product usage versus market reality piece that we need to take. And as a product manager, I think what Sri is trying to say is you got to align to the reality fast and say, this is great, what I've built, but it's not working. Let me throw this code away and get.
And then you should improvise on top of, for example, exactly the analytics for High Performer right now. With the current day and age of Gen AI, people want to ask questions and get answers. People want to know, hey, what's my best performing post, rather than going through a chart, right? That's the change. So we just have to adapt to that, make it conversational. I think let the users ask what they want and move on. And that's a good example. But the most important fact, just coming back to the topic here, right? As the market changes, so must the product, Ramesh. There is no choice.
Yeah.
The companies which basically do well are the startups. The companies which take time are the incumbents, right? They take time to adapt to changes in the market, right? A good example is the current AI wave which is happening. Multiple product sectors or segments or categories might not exist, right? Like one example I was just quoting the other day to you is that there's hardly anybody using the ticketing today. The 100% ticketing has become 5-10% of ticketing needs today. I don't think you have a ticketing software in your product, right? For High Performer. Maybe when I started, let's say 10-12 years back, the first thing we got was basically having a ticketing software, right? So the market is changing, so should the products, right? Today, everybody wants to put a chatbot which is trained on their own, the K-based articles and the internal, the knowledge base to so.
Yep.
That's the change. So that's the
I think another example to what we have this is coming up in our next episode is also about being AI, but do not wrap it. Like we are going to talk about how companies are going to succeed if you're a wrapper AI or actually if you're native AI. So it keeps that right. I just want to put that.
So just to kind of summarize, Ramesh, right? So if you ask me, right, to all the listeners out there, I think the market fit is like catching a perfect wave, right? It requires balance. Of course, it requires timing and the ability to adapt.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think that's very well said.
Yeah, these things are most important thing, right? Remember, your product might be great, but the greatness is truly when it's tested and your customers like it and they come back and buy it.
Yeah, he's sounding like Aristotle, right? Your product might be great, but unless it's being tested and being used repeatedly by customers, you've not achieved product market fit, right? So there you go. So few things. If you want to achieve product market fit, it's not about hitting the $1 million mark always, right? You can do that with about 20 customers paying you 5,000 or whatever. But it's all about ensuring that you build a reasonably good product in terms of screens.
Good product, yeah,
right? And then you ensure that you make money out of it, which means you pitch it to customers. You're not going to say, hey, I don't want money for it, give it away for free. But what's more important is look for repeatable use cases.
Correct.
Right? Sometimes we think of a use case, but the people buying out there, they may have a completely different use case, and you tweak the product when you see more instances of that. That repeatable usage is what drives a good product market fit. Right? Thank you. Thank you, Sri, for explaining that. With that, this brings us to an end of this episode of Mountaineering. Well, clearly not in achieving a product market fit. It is more about surfing.
Thank you. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.